For 5 years, a lot of people who loved the first Joker when it came out in 2019 have been saying, I know they're planning on doing a Joker 2, but please don't. The first one was such a great way to end it, and if you do a sequel, you might end up undoing a lot of the things you did in the first movie. Nevertheless, Warner Brothers, full speed ahead. They saw $1 billion at the box office. They said, of course, we're going to make a second one, despite the fact that Todd Phillips had said over and over again, this was always planned as a one-off. Didn't have any plans for a sequel and really didn't have any inclination to do it until Warner Brothers backed up the Brinks truck and dumped a ton of money on his lawn and basically said, okay, I guess I'll do it. And with the reaction we saw from both the critics and the audience alike, we knew it was going to be very interesting at the box office because for the most part, as opposed to the first one that did get some criticism from the media, but overall critics enjoyed it, the audience loved that first one, propelled it with word of mouth to a fantastic opening, and it ended up being the biggest R-rated movie we'd ever seen at the box office at over $1 billion. It did get dethroned recently by Deadpool and Wolverine, but still an incredible accomplishment. Well, Joker 2, we now have the numbers for opening weekend, and it is worse than anyone could have possibly imagined. That's it. A disaster, a shocker, you name it. Hit by the worst word of mouth ever received for a comic book movie, a D cinema score. This is embarrassingly bad, about as bad as it gets, as Luis Fernando said, for a comic book movie. Joker 2 underperforms the industry's pessimistic expectations. A shocking 40 million three-day opening weekend, almost 2.5 times lower than the original Joker, almost on par with Morbius at 39 million, lower than The Flash, lower than the Marvels. This is a historic disaster for them. And honestly, I think when we see the real numbers that come out, a lot of the competitors for Warner Brothers estimated this would be around 37, 38 million. I think Warner Brothers just put in 40 because it's a little bit better look than 39. But either way you slice it, this is a nightmare for them. Joker box office shocker. Folie à Deux bombs with $40 million opening after receiving a D cinema score. And you can see it right here. A $40 million opening as the follow-up to a $1 billion movie. When you're talking about numbers, opening weekend numbers for a movie like this, that is below the Marvels, below The Flash, which were both total and complete box office flops, and on par with something like Morbius, you were in uncharted territory. And worldwide, the numbers are not much better. Joker 2 bows to 121 million global. Overseas taps expected range, but odds clearly not gaga over the sequel. Good pun there, Nancy, over at Deadline. The first one, worldwide opening, was around $250 million. And it would be one thing if, like the first one, they had a very controlled budget. First budget was around 55 million, but no, this is a $200 million budget movie. And as I've talked about before, I saw it. I had heard not great things going into it, but I still was hoping. I was hoping that it would follow up the first one with another masterpiece, a great movie. Even though I had low expectations, those expectations were not exceeded. In fact, I was still disappointed when I walked out of the theater. I think that the decisions they made, I don't think it's poorly directed. I don't think it's poorly acted. I think there are things in it, the way it's shot, the score, not necessarily the musical numbers, the score, that are fantastic, that are on par with the first one. But unfortunately, the thing that matters most, the story and the way they tried to subvert everyone's expectations going in by completely undoing so much of the work that they'd done in the first Joker, it fell flat for a lot of people. And this is one of the reasons that not everything needs a follow-up. When the director says, no, this is just a standalone, I don't want to do another one, I'm not planning on doing another one, but Warner Brothers sees dollar signs and they can't help but try to double down, this is what you fucking get. 31% audience score, 33% critics score. Not often that the audience and the critics are united, but in this case, they absolutely are. Joker 2, which probably should never have happened, is a complete and total failure for Warner Brothers. In all likelihood, it's going to lose a lot of money for them.